Greetings, brethren, throughout the Davidian world, and welcome today to our presentation where we're going to address a really critical question that needs to be thought about is why do so many Davidians today reject the idea of setting up Shepherd's Rod publishing houses around the world? You would think everybody would be on the bandwagon to spread the message as the leaves of autumn, the original Rod message. So why are people opposed to it? Well, we're going to address that question today, and I welcome you all. I'm Brother Eric, Publishing Director of UPA7.org. So come on in and join us, and we're going to go to the Rod message and get some answers here and provide some remedies, how we can move forward to lay siege on Mother, if you will. Well, consider this statement about a mixed multitude that's going to come into the message and the trouble they're going to cause. We read this from Symbolic Code, Volume 5, Numbers 1 to 5, page 8, and it reads, "The reason that the work of the sealing message is moving as slowly as it is to be found in the fact that a mixed multitude of laborers has evidently come into the message as God's people travel toward the path of holiness leading to his kingdom. Thus it has been with every message, and thus it must be now. Had there not come out of Egypt in Moses' time a mixed multitude, the Exodus movement would have gone into the Promised Land in less than 2 weeks. But because there were many following the movement who were possessed of a spirit different from that of Caleb and Joshua's, the movement fell 40 years behind schedule in entering the Promised Land." So friends, here is a key statement that addresses, if you're wondering, why is the Rod message not doing its appointed work? It's not bringing about the revival and reformation. It's been 70 years since Brother Howdiff died, etc., and things are divided and scattered worse than ever before. Well, here's part of the answer in the Shepherd's Rod is because there are laborers here that have come into the message, but they're creating all kinds of trouble. They're diverting it. They have unbelief and winds of doctrine everywhere. So this is a strong clue, and we're going to see how this unfolds further. Well, one of the biggest evidences is, who are these people that oppose the idea of setting up publishing houses around the world? Well, it tends to be the organized associations based in the U.S., the GADSDAs, specifically Waco, Mount Dale, Salem, and Bashan, and Pre-11th Hour that broke from Mount Dale. And one of the reasons is they privately interpret the Rod message, and they repeat this mantra: well, why can't we have publishing houses in other countries out of Africa? And they'll say, well, 8-track 24 says that the headquarters has to be in the U.S. And they repeat this over and over. The same lie that's been repeated by Donna Dare over and over, and somehow this propaganda becomes a truth. And they don't believe it because they're misinterpreting 8-track 24. Let's read it. It says, "And as according to Daniel chapter 4, verses 20 to 22, trees are figurative of rulers. Therefore, the trees in this instance represent the ancient men before the house." Ezekiel 9, verse 6. A fact which reveals that in this period, the church's headquarters are in the two-horned beast dominion, the new world, the earth. So, friends, which headquarters are in the domain of two-horned beast? It's the church's headquarters. That's the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, which is currently in Silver Spring, Maryland. It doesn't say anything about the Davidian headquarters or GADSDA. It says nothing about it. So where did this private opinion come from? Well, it came from Donna Dare. He uses it. I used to hear him repeat it over and over. Well, a false interpretation repeated over and over does not make it truth. And it was adopted by Mount Dale and Waco. So this is one of their arguments why they don't believe in setting up publishing houses where most Adventists are located in other parts of the world. So this is a major problem, misinterpreting the message. But if you go to the Spirit of Prophecy in the Rod, it's clear that multiple publishing houses are needed. And these are two cornerstone statements. Testimonies, Volume 7, page 140, because, of course, people are going to challenge you. Well, where's it in the Rod that we should have publishing houses all over the world? Well, here it is, friends. The first statement reads, and in a large degree through our publishing houses is to be accomplished the work of that other angel, and in brackets added, the other angel that joins the three and gives it power and force is nothing other than the added message of the shepherd's rod, the judgment for the living. It's irrefutable. Who comes down from heaven with great power and who lightens the earth with his glory. Solemn is the responsibility that rests upon our houses of publication. Now some might argue, oh, well, that was Ellen White talking in her day. Yes, it has an application, but the message of the fourth angel joining the three and give it power force did not come through Ellen White. That came later, starting in 1930 through the shepherd's rod. And you all know that. So these publishing houses, plural, they're going to reach 22 million Adventists, have to be publishing the original shepherd's rod message. Not just the Spirit of Prophecy, but everything found in the Golden Bowl. And the Rod confirms this. Look at this statement. Timely Greetings, Volume 1, number 27, page 11. It says, surely Micah 6 leaves no doubt whatsoever that the time has fully come for God's people to get down to business as never before. The message with which we have been entrusted, inspiration commands, should be what? Scattered as the leaves of autumn. Testimonies, Volume 9, page 231. And here are the leaves. Now, this was published first back in 1946, so the leaves have been here for over 70 years. So, friends, what are you doing to help spread them as leaves of autumn? The marching orders are already here. So the problem really comes down to the mixed multitude that want to control the work from the United States and don't believe in setting up publishing houses where most Adventists are scattered around the world. Strange paradox, isn't it? But let us go further. The answer to this paradox, how are you going to reach 22 million Adventists worldwide, is multiple publishing houses. It's right here in the Rod, Timely Greetings, Volume 1, page 17. And I missed the volume or the issue number, but we'll post that in the description box below. Millions, it reads. So it is that these small comprehensive publications, the bright clouds laden with present truth, are now being scattered as the leaves of autumn throughout Laodicea to every church member, to every one grass in the vineyard of the Lord. The final results? More than 1,000 attest inspiration will soon be converted in one day, most of whom will trace their first convictions to the reading of our publications. Review and Herald, November 10, 1885. So the role of the publications is indispensable. That will be the primary means to reach Seventh-day Adventists with the Rod message. And it was actively being scattered as the leaves of autumn in Brother Howard's day. Well, where's the command not to continue on in our day? Brother Howard has passed away in 1955, and people lament, oh, we have no inspiration or myths. No, we have the marching orders. The message is what brings the restitution of all things. So why don't we print and spread the message? Because here it is right here. It's strange that Davidians are looking for another prophet when they really should be advancing the original message. Let us break this down from purely logistic perspective. We know that in 1935, Brother Houteff moved the message that arose in Southern California to Waco, Texas, on the argument that most Adventists were located in North America and that it was going to be more advantageous, the way postage worked back then, it was based on distance, is to be in the central part of the United States to reach most of the Adventists. And if you look at the membership breakdown in 1935, here's the breakdown. The largest division was the North America, almost 40%. of total church membership. Now, the total church membership at this time was on the order of 400,000 total. But this is a breakdown of where those members were distributed. The next largest division was Central Europe, and then after that, Northern Europe. So over half the church membership was based in North America and Europe. And so it made perfect sense to locate the publishing work at Waco, Texas, to reach most of the church body. It's interesting on this list is where do the African countries come in? And the first African country is South Africa there. And if you go over there, it's one of that purple wedge. It's only 6% of total church membership. So Africa's relatively small contribution. Most of it was in North America and Europe. Now, friends, what happens in 2023 or by 2023? What does the demographics of the church show? And you're going to see this amazingly radical shift. Here's the breakdown now. The largest division, 23%, East Central Africa, over 4 million. The next largest, Southern Africa. So we have over 40%. The membership is now shifted over to Africa. And then the next two largest divisions, Inter-America, that's Mexico, the Caribbean islands, and then South America comprise the next two chunks, 17 and 12%. So those four largest divisions, or almost 3/4 of the church membership, is outside NAD. NAD, if you look at there, it's a purple wedge, 6%. This is a dramatic shift. So where are most Seventh-day Adventists located now? Africa, Inter-America, and parts of Asia. So clearly, if Brother Houteff was alive today, he would say, well, to reach those people, set up publishing houses over there. Where? Where most Adventists are located. It's obvious. Shipping literature from the United States to these countries is extremely expensive. It costs over 5 times the cost of printing a tract, the cost of shipping it. So all the money, your time money, is going to enrich the world shipping lanes. And furthermore, making sure that literature gets where it belongs is very difficult. It takes months sometimes, and it gets lost. We know from experience. Ask any other group. The literature disappears oftentimes. It doesn't get where it's intended. Furthermore, when you go to those countries and you ask them, I know from experience, well, how many of you have complete set of SRod literature? None of them did. I'm like, how are you reading the message? Off of a cell phone. You see the problem here? So in order to address this demographic shift, we should move publishing houses where most Adventists are located. And that's what we're proposing. And it will be clear that it'll be seen that God's taking the reins in his own hands. Look at this statement. Testimonies of Ministers, page 300. We're very familiar with this. It reads, when the light goes forth to lighten the earth, instead of coming up to the help of the Lord, they, the mixed multitude, will want to bind about his work to meet their narrow ideas. Let me tell you that the Lord will work in this last work in a manner very much out of the common order of things, and in a way that will be contrary to any human planning. There will be those among us who will always want to control the work of God, to dictate even what movements shall be made when the work goes forward under the direction of the angel who joins the third angel in the message to be given to the world. God will use ways and means by which it will be seen that he's taken the reins in his own hands. The workers will be surprised by the simple means that he will use to bring about and perfect his work of righteousness. So you see the problem here? These people that run these associations based in the United States, based on a lie, thinking that you can't have a headquarters or a publishing work outside the U.S., they don't believe in setting up publishing work. They want to rule the world and control the movements under human planning. How do I know? Well, my wife and I did mission work in the Philippines in the early 2000s under Mountaindale. And we brought a box of literature over there. We supported ourselves. We were self-supporting. But it was very apparent that literature, we needed a whole lot more of it. But the means of getting it there were very, very difficult. Took a lot of cost and effort. So the idea was clear based on 7 testimony that we should have multiple publishing houses. So we approached Mountaindale with the idea, hey, what about setting up a publishing house here in the Philippines? We need lots of literature. And the answer was unbelievable. The executive council says no. That was the answer. And we were shocked. Do we obey man or God? The marching orders are in the rod. But they didn't believe in it. They could not control the work. And so they said no. Well, who's this executive council? Well, we've proven that they're unauthorized man appointed. They vote and nominate following the example of the world, choosing a Saul over them and following the precedent of Florence Houteff. And we've exposed that in many videos before. So these unauthorized executive council is trying to control and dictate the work. God doesn't work that way. People will be shocked to see the simple means by which God will take the reins in his own hands. There will be people that won't submit to this tyranny of these associations, who want to go to these countries, rob them of their tithe, and to support their greedy dog hireling Bible worker ministers, failing to feed the flock with the meat in due season. That's the truth. It's worldwide. When I went to Africa, same problem. They were begging and desperate for the literature. And they contacted UPA 7 and said, can you help us? And we said, sure. We'll help you. We'll solve this problem. And everybody was shocked and surprised when it began to happen. It will be seen that God will take charge of the flock. Look at this statement, Testimonies of the Church, Volume 5, page 79. We have been inclined to think that where there are no faithful ministers, there can be no true Christians. But this is not the case. God has promised that where the shepherds are not true, he will take charge of the flock himself. God has never made the flock wholly dependent upon human instrumentalities. But the days of purification of the church are hastening on apace. God will have a people pure and true. In the mighty sifting soon to take place, we shall be better able to measure the strength of Israel. The signs reveal that the time is near when the Lord will manifest that his hand is in his hand and he will thoroughly purge his floor. So friends, these associations that try to rule over the flock and control the work, God's going to get rid of them. And he'll raise up people that will give the warning message. It's happening right now. Wake up and realize what's going on. These people that oppose the idea of setting up publishing houses and then make false accusations, oh, we teach the people to pocket the tithes and do whatever they want with it, is a bold-faced lie. They want to rule the world and extract the tithes out of these poor Africans to support their greedy dog ministers. That's the truth, friends. But God's going to have people that raise up and solve this problem. It's already happening. So, satellite publishing houses have been established. This is well precedented. The associations want to dismiss it, ignore it, or discourage their people from looking at this. But here's the evidence. This is the Pacific Islands and Vanuatu. Stacks of original raw literature being printed by the brethren locally. They support it with their own tithes and offerings, and they're distributing it throughout the island groups in the South Pacific. Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Solomons. Did Mountaindale ever do this? No. Did Bashan ever do this? No. Did Waco ever do this? No. So God rose up these brethren who broke from Mountaindale, and look at them. They're off and running. Or how about these brethren in Zimbabwe? Who are publishing their own original rod literature since about 2019. For years, They had ministers come from Mountaindale, fleece them of all their tithes once a year, and take it back to the U.S. and leave them with, quote, nothing but a stone. Well, no longer, friends. They can feed themselves. So we don't take their tithes. They gather it amongst themselves and print their own literature. Really simple, isn't it? Or this work, South Africa, the first place to publish Shepherd's Rod Volume 1 and 2 outside the United States. The 2 hard copies, facsimile reproductions, along with all the 75 pieces of tract literature. So yes, these brethren are happy to be fed with the meat and due season, to get all of their own literature to study for themselves, rather than be dependent on reading the Rod Message off of a cell phone app, or being dependent on trickles and handfuls of literature that come out of the United States, a little here and a little there. But no, they can have all of it on demand. So here is some statistics today, 2024, and what we're doing to solve this problem. Well, worldwide, there's about 97,811 Seventh-day Adventist churches around the world. Total membership, as it stands today, about 22,237,406, scattered all over the world. We showed in that demographic breakdown that the 3 largest divisions today are East Central Africa with almost 5 million, South Africa, 4 million, and then Inter-America with 3.7 million. So these are the 3 largest divisions, 2 of them in Africa. Almost half the church membership is in Africa, friends. So why don't you set up publishing there? Well, we're doing it by the grace of God, because somebody has to do it. God will raise up somebody. So you see the little red dots. Those are the publishing houses that we've set up so far. South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, and Kenya. There's 2 little yellow dots. We're working to set up publishing houses as we speak. Another one in Kenya. Kenya is one that almost has 1 million Seventh-day Adventists alone. So yes, they desperately need lots of publishing there. And then Uganda. And we're actively working to set up publishing in other African countries. So the GADSDAs in the U.S. don't believe in this. They say, oh, it's a one-man operation. Or, oh, he's a Jesuit. Or, oh, they teach the people to pocket their tithes and do whatever they want. This is all character attack and hearsay. Because they don't believe that God is really working to get his message to reach 22 million Seventh-day Adventists. If you want to be part of helping this expand, guess where we need to address next? Inter-America, places like Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Central America, South America. If you're from any of those countries, please contact us and let us help you set up a publishing house. We're working with a sister now up in Finland, Northern Europe. We've got publishing in UK, Australia. So friends, it doesn't take a lot. Very simple. We're talking on the order of $2,500 to $3,000 US to completely establish a publishing house. Equipment, travel, and everything. It's cost effective, and they could print on demand. Undeniable. So here are the leaves. We're told to scatter them. Let us consider these points. The reason that the work of the sealing message is moving as slowly as it is to be found in the fact that a mixed multitude of laborers has evidently come in the message. That's obvious. They're hindering the work. They're robbing the vineyard. They're the greedy dogs, like Ezekiel 37, not feeding the flock, taking all the tithes for themselves, to be treated like kings. They don't labor as self-supporting, self-sacrificing workers. They expect to be treated, paid with tithe forever. So this mixed multitude is hindering the work. It's obvious. They don't believe in empowering the people on their own areas to set up their own publishing and become independent of this ruling authority that comes out of the U.S. It was a problem in Ellen White's day with the publishing work in Battle Creek. And God sent her back to the United States in 1901, 1903 to break it up and distribute it because of the controlling power of a few men over the publishing work. It's no different today. Next, publishing houses, multiple, are the key to spreading the message of the hour to reach 22 million Seventh-day Adventists scattered around the world, most of them in Africa, in America, and Asia. 3/4 of the church population outside of the North American division. So we don't need no more GADSDAs in the United States. What we need is publishing houses where these Adventists are gathered. And in so doing, when they publish their own literature, all 75 pieces of the tract literature, answer books, tracts 1 to 15, miscellaneous tracts, TGs, volume 1 and 2, then they can read and study for themselves, and this will minimize private interpretations amongst Davidians. They will quit listening to these uninspired prophets of Baal and their private opinions and study for themselves. Finally, one of the ways God has taken the reins into his hands is through setting up Shepherd's Rod publishing houses worldwide. This is an indisputable fact. People will attack it, attack me, tell lies, but the truth is the truth, friends, and the truth will prevail. So what are you waiting for? Break free from these corrupted associations who are robbing God's vineyard, eating up the vineyard, and use your tithes to help set up these publishing houses. We can help you. We don't take tithes from these poor African brethren. We help them organize and set up their treasury to support their own publishing work. That's how it should work. We don't take anything from them. So this concludes our presentation. If you have any further questions, comments on this important subject, then please subscribe to this channel, Universal Publishers Association, for future updates, for reports about how the message should advance, the scattering time, the hands of Zerubbabel, Elijah's helper. Check the link in the description box below. That helps us understand where we are in the message today and the best way to advance it. We don't need another prophet. The message is complete, ready to go. What we need is to publish and scatter it as leaves of autumn around the world. That's the answer, friends. So check those videos if you're not familiar with those, or to request assistance to set up an original Shepherd's Rod publishing house in your country or area, then please feel free to contact us anytime. Here's our email, our phone number. You can text, call, or connect with us on WhatsApp. Also visit one of our websites, whiteparish.org. That's in the U.S. I will direct you to, if you come from any part of the world, I'll direct you to brethren that are in those parts of the world that can assist you. In particular, Africa, we have some very active evangelists there. Brother Stanley, Brother Lindell. You can contact them here through these WhatsApp numbers. That's how they connect primarily in Africa, or this email. And they will be happy to assist you to set up your own publishing house. They're well trained and equipped. I don't have to jump on the plane to go over there and do that. So we thank God that there's a multitude of labors God is raising up to reach our beloved brethren in Laodicea until they see John Mother. So friends, what's holding you back? Why don't you join in and do your part, and we will train you and equip you to advance the Rod message, to bring in God's soon coming kingdom. So we thank you for your time, and may God richly bless your search for truth as for hidden treasure, and to cease from all the prophets of Baal that are in our midst. Godspeed.